If you've been neglecting LinkedIn, not intentionally, but because you've been so busy with your career and growing your business and supporting your employer, in this episode, I'm going to talk about some different ways of easing back into LinkedIn. And there might be some of you who are already active on LinkedIn, but you're looking to level up your presence. So I'm going to give you some more advanced tips to level up LinkedIn as well.
Do you ever feel overwhelmed or not sure what to do on LinkedIn? I understand, and that's why I am bringing in today's guest, Brenda Meller. I can't wait for you to hear all the things that we're going to be talking about. Welcome to Women Leaders on the Move, a Her C-Suite radio podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Benamou, and every week I bring you amazing guests like today's guest, Brenda Meller, so that you can live your best life ever and also accelerate in the second half of your career. I'm also the founder of Her C-Suite, where we are guiding women leaders to discover what's next in board roles as entrepreneurs and also creating that portfolio career. And our newest program is launching in only a few days, Next to Lead AI, which is going to be a game changer for women being in the driver's seat of the conversation with AI. I hope you will check it all out on hercsuite.com. I cannot wait for you to hear all about this topic because I'm very passionate. I'm active on LinkedIn and I can always learn new things. And today I learned a lot, and so will you. Brenda Meller is helping the self-employed executives and corporate teams enjoy a bigger slice of the LinkedIn pie. She's a former corporate marketer turned entrepreneur, national speaker, and she's the chief engagement officer at Meller Marketing. I know that this conversation is going to fire you up to get on LinkedIn and show up in a whole new way. So let's get started now. Brenda, I'm so excited to welcome you to Women Leaders on the Move today. Thanks for being on the show.
Oh, I'm super excited to be here, Natalie.
I am so thrilled and honored to have you here. I've been watching you, of course, on social media, especially on LinkedIn, because that's where we both are. I'm pretty much exclusively there. I don't really go on other platforms, but then also through Innovation Women and Bobby Carlton. So I love seeing you on Speaker Friend Fridays. But for our listeners who may not know about you and all the amazing things, tell them a little bit about you.
I am a LinkedIn coach and I help the self-employed corporate executives and teams to get a bigger slice of the LinkedIn pie. I do that through one-on-one coaching, through team training, through profile optimization. And then I also have some offerings. I have a digital course called The Recipe for Social Selling. I do a membership program. I come from a corporate marketing background, so I've got a membership community. And I also do speaking since, we were talking about Innovation Women being a great community for women speakers. So I do speaking at conferences and events. My style as a speaker is more workshop style, teaching people how to use LinkedIn, the tips and the tricks, what's new, what's trending. But also for people who maybe aren't super active on LinkedIn, how to really get started and reignite their LinkedIn presence to help them to reach their career and their business goals.
Which is exactly what we're going to talk about today, because in our community, in Her C-Suite, we have executive women leaders and we work a lot with women getting on boards, and their profile may or may not have a headline. I call it the header, but a lot of them have maybe the generic gray or it's missed opportunity. And then their profile itself, because they've been so immersed in their business that they may not have been able to take advantage of all the places on the profile to really stand out. And that's one of the things that you do so amazingly. And it's so clear. And I, of course, I'm going to have the link to you in the show notes. But if someone has just been in corporate for a long time and perhaps even many years at the same company, and they've focused internally. I hear this a lot. They've been focused on the internal customer and networking, and now they have to go outside. What would be a first step that they could think about?
First, I want to address, what your listeners might be experiencing, which is this feeling like I am the only one. I'm the only one who has had this issue. And they start to feel vulnerable as well. I'm going to start to make some changes on my profile. My coworkers are going to know, my bosses, the board's going to see, they're going to think that I'm making a move if I start to get active. And I think a lot of that comes from the mindset of when we first got on LinkedIn, many of us heard about it as a job search site, so a networking site for job seekers. And we built our profile accordingly. And then we got into that next job or whatever position we were in. And then we didn't do anything. So our profile became kind of like stagnant or dormant for a really long time. And now we're looking at it again, and you open it up, and the first feeling is, oh, it just doesn't reflect me. It's just outdated. It's not reflective. I'm ashamed. I'm not proud of my profile. I'm ashamed of what I have on there. And it just feels like such a huge mountain to climb up to get active again. And I'm gonna give you your listeners an easy thing to do. We're gonna ease back into LinkedIn if you haven't been active in a while. And just start by spending 15 minutes in the homepage feed every day. And by doing so, you're warming up the algorithm because right now it doesn't know what to show you in the homepage feed, and you're probably seeing a lot of random stuff. But when you start to spend some time in the homepage feed, you're doing two things. First is you are learning about people in your network. And as you interact with people who are relevant, like if I see one of your posts, Natalie, I'm going to comment on it, of course. If I scroll by someone else's post, they're going to stop showing me those posts for a while. So it's going to start to make the feed more relevant. And at the same time, I'm also starting to train my mind like, what do people post on LinkedIn? Because I've never done these things before. And I feel like that process of spending time in the homepage feed while we're scrolling through and you're actually taking some actions, it's kind of like a passive process to go through. You don't have to do a lot of work like updating the profile right away. What you might experience too is as you're going through and seeing posts and commenting, you're starting to click to go through to profiles and you're getting ideas for what are other people putting on their LinkedIn profiles, and you're seeing their wonderful branded headers and their really interesting headlines, and you're starting to kind of feed your brain ideas, which is going to help you when you are ready to start tackling that profile update.
One of the best things that I use for our listeners is you can click off notify your network when you update your profile. And I, I'm going to laugh because I changed my header fairly frequently. I might have a scroll. If when my book came out, I had this like scrolling thing and then I change it. And I don't want people to keep getting this. Natalie just updated the header.
Can I share something with you though, Natalie? And this is something I'm going to re-educate you because it used to be every time you touched something and updated something on your profile, it would push out a notification. Natalie updated her header. Natalie updated her photo. Natalie updated her headline. Years and years ago, it used to do that. It doesn't do that anymore. The only thing that will be pushed out as a notification is if you start a new job, if you're promoted, if you start or complete education, if you're celebrating a work anniversary. And for all of these, you have to have Notify Network turned on. If you have it turned off, nothing's going to go out. Those will be pushed out as notifications. Congratulate Brenda Meller on being named Chief Marketing Officer at ABC Company. That will go out. But if you update your header, if you update your headline, if you modify your contact info, if you update and put in a new headshot photo, none of that is going to be pushed out anymore.
Oh, I'm so glad to know.
Right?
Well, because I mess with it. So I look at it on my phone, then I look at it on my desktop and I change it. So I'll be like, oh, the words are cut off. I need to, I adjust for mobile optimization. So I'll see something, it looks great on my little laptop, but then when I look at it on mobile, I'm like, oh, I'm cutting off half the things I'm trying to say here. So then I change it. And so that's why I have it turned off because I was like, I don't want to tell someone 3 times, oh my God, she's changing her header again.
Well, and this is the thing. This is like one of the things LinkedIn doesn't tell you. They didn't tell us that they stopped doing notifications. So think about it, Natalie. If you go into the homepage feed, when is the last time you saw one of those notifications?
Never, never. Now that you mention it.
You don't think about it because you used to. You used to see it all the time when we were in that pattern behavior of seeing things. So now, and there might be people listening to this right now that are like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that." Right? So I'm glad that you mentioned it.
Yeah, and I wanna stay on the topic first of personal brand because it is really important, and I think when people think, "Oh, I haven't updated my headshot, I haven't done this." First of all, there are some really good tools, although you really need to look at them. With AI headshots, there's some that are really good, and there are some that are super not looking like you. I just had something happen recently, and I was like, someone used my image meaning well, but I looked like I was 85. And I was like, I'm so sorry, but we have to use my real photo. Not that I think it's so great, but like, please, 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 please. So you have to really look at it and make sure it looks like you. There's some nice things with backgrounds and things like that. What are some things to think about If you haven't updated your headshot in a while, what are some key things that they should think about? Talking about those little baby steps, like what's a baby step on that?
Well, first of all, if you're an executive for a company, so I'm speaking to you right now, if you're VP level and above, your company should be paying for headshot photos for its executive team, at least every 5 years minimum, new headshot photos, because this is like when we walk into a lobby at a building, there's a reception desk, you've got signage. It's not like a dusty table with coffee cups that haven't been thrown away, which is kind of like a neglected space, right? We want to make sure that that entrance to your headquarters is reflective of what they can come to expect about the culture and the company keeping current and progressive and all those things. So, outdated headshot photos scream outdated employee, outdated company as a whole, I should say. So your company should be paying for those for you. And my guess is if I looked at your website right now, if you work in an executive role, there's an about us page and there's a leadership team page and there's photos in there. And you know what I'm talking about. If you've seen like one of your, C-level team members whose headshot photo was clearly from 20 years ago. And what do we think when we look at that photo? Helen doesn't look like that at all. Helen hasn't looked like that since her younger days of her career. Helen is outdated. She is not keeping current with technology. And also, she's not accepting the fact that she is aging, as all of us are aging. And it immediately it creates some mistrust. Like if she's not going to tell me the truth about her age and what she looks like today, and she's in a CFO role, is she going to cook the books too to make them look the way that she wants them to look? So it's creating a little bit of mistrust there. So if you're in a leadership role, your company should be investing in professional headshots for your team. Then you should use that headshot in your LinkedIn profile because your LinkedIn profile is on a professional networking site. On a professional networking site, you are representing your employer. So you should be consistent in that look across places. And I agree with you about the AI aspect, Natalie. I know there are some that are getting pretty close and they're pretty good, but I am still of the belief that a headshot captured by a professional headshot photographer is always better than AI if you have the financial means to do so, if you have the means of investing in that. Because there's just something that happens at a very you don't even know. It's like at your gut level, you look at a photo, and if it's AI generated, you're like, something's just a little off about it. Do you know what I mean?
I think it depends on how close and how much of your torso you show.
And your LinkedIn headshot photo really should be your face, 50 to 6% of the circle is your face, and just a little bit of your shoulders in there, anyways.
Hey, it's Natalie, and I wanted to pop in and invite you to join me on November 7th for an amazing program, How Secure is Your AI? Be sure to check out the show notes to get all the registration details there. But I like to talk about engagement now because people think that they have to be posting all the time, all day. What is the new best practice? Because it changes. It changes from like, should I be posting 3 times a week? Should I post 7 times a week? Do I do 6 times? I personally, on my personal feed, post 6 days and I only comment sometimes on the seventh day. But on my business page, I don't post that much. So I'm just curious, what are the trends? What are people supposed to do?
I'm going to give you best practices and a little bit of the why behind it.
Yeah, I love it.
First of all, I want you to think about posting and network engagement. They're two sides of the same coin. If you want to get results on your post, meaning you want to get reach and comments and things like that, you have to be engaging with others. So it's this social media karma thing that happens. For me, this is when the game changed on LinkedIn. When I started paying attention to others and made my homepage feed interactions a part of my activities, that's when I started to get more engagement on my own post. And you're like, wait a minute, this is how it works. So it's like karma. What you put in is what you get out of it. So every day I recommend starting in the homepage feed first. And then if you want to post, I'll give you some guidelines. Don't post more than once in a business day. Like 18 hours apart is like the threshold that you're looking for. If they're closer than that, you're actually going to get penalized in your reach for both of the posts. So for people that are listening that are heavy users of LinkedIn, you shouldn't be posting 4 and 5 times in a day. Once a day is fine. There might be the occasional day where I post twice, but I know I'm going to take a hit in my reach and I'm okay with that. The other end of that spectrum is how infrequent can you be posting? And I would think once a week minimum. That's the minimum threshold. And part of the reason is there's like some stats out there. The latest I read was like 49% of people go on LinkedIn monthly. So that means 51% of people don't even go on LinkedIn once a month. They might go on it once per quarter, once a year, once they think about it, whatever that frequency is. If you're never posting, you're not going to reach those people when they do go on. So that's going to help you to keep active there. And I want to speak to those people that maybe they're not posting at all right now and probably are struggling thinking, I would post if I knew what to post about. If you're working for an organization, easiest thing to do is go to your company page on LinkedIn, find a recent post that the page has done. At the very bottom, you're going to see these little two arrows. It'll say repost. Click on that, and you get your choice of repost or repost with your thoughts. I'm going to give your listeners permission to do the repost. Easy peasy. You don't need to type anything in. You can do that. If you are more comfortable, then I would say do repost with your thoughts and then add a little line of commentary. Almost think about if I were sitting next to you at a coffee shop, Natalie, and that post was like an article and I'm sliding it over to you. And I say to you, check out this article about our new automation technology and let me know if you have any questions. I'm kind of serving it up to you, but I'm explaining why it is that I'm sharing it with you. That's a really easy technique for individuals to do, especially if you're in a leadership role at a company. It shows a great brand support and company affiliation as well.
Yeah, the repost, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about that with algorithms. People say if you repost, should you copy, take a screenshot, and then do it as a new post and then reference? What are your thoughts on that?
So now we're talking to the more advanced LinkedIn users. Let's say there's people that are listening to this right now. They're like, I'm active on LinkedIn. I'm using it regularly. How do I level up my LinkedIn game? Now let me speak to you. Okay. So LinkedIn's goal is to keep people on the site longer. Keep people on the site longer. Think about that. They prefer new original content over reposts, reshares, external links like YouTube or industry articles, which could divert people off of the platform. So if you want to get more reach for your posts, keep in mind their goal is to keep people on the site longer. Their goal is new original content. And then there's some rules of the algorithm. I talked about one of them earlier. Don't post more than once every business day. Make sure that you're interacting with other people. And I like to warm up the algorithm first by commenting on people's posts in my homepage feed and then posting. Now, within your post, new original content, something that is interesting, informative, educational, related to your area of expertise or the area of expertise for your company, and bring in some type of a call to action, encouraging people to comment below or tag people in or asking them for their thoughts. Because when we get interaction with our posts, it pushes it out to more people in their homepage feed, and then you're going to get better reach. And then if you reply back to them, it's going to push it out again to the homepage feed, and you're going to get better reach. If you want to take it another level up from there, I'm going to suggest that you use real photos of real people over stock photos, or photos of inanimate objects don't do as well as people. And there's actually studies they've done on newborn babies. We prefer to look at people's faces over black and white objects. It's just something that we're hardwired to do. So, I find personally that unique photos of me, not always the overly professional photos, do better than stock photos or industry articles or things like that.
For an entrepreneur, there's a balance between engaging and then oversharing to say, buy, buy, buy. And I'm always cognizant of that. Like it's the fine line because you want to have the conversation.
I want you to keep in mind, like the goal, yeah, the goal is to get people to do business with you, right? But we don't want to come across as overly salesy because that will push people away and people won't engage with our posts. So I would actually start. I know you're asking a question about posting, but I'm going to start with your profile. So you should have an optimized profile from top to bottom. If you are self-employed, if you are an entrepreneur, that should make it super easy for people to do business with you. So I want you to, spend some time looking at your profile without clicking on contact info. Try to find at least one or more calls to action of ways of people to do business with you. Might be in your headline, might be in your about section, it might be in your featured section, it might be in your experience section, or like I'm doing, look at my profile, it's in all of those places. And there should be a clear path for them to either reach out to book a discovery call with you. Maybe it's a freebie or something that they can get on your email list, whether it's a discovery call or a booking link to work with you on coaching. But even without you doing anything, if they come to your profile, is there a path for them to do business with you? So I think that's the start. That needs to be the foundation. And then now let's shift gears and talk about posting. You've probably heard of the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of your results are 20% of your actions. So when I think about what to post on LinkedIn, I flip that and I say the 20-80 rule applies when it comes to selling. You should be selling 20% of the time in your posts. The other 80% of the time, you should be informing, educating, sometimes entertaining, right? Or inspiring, but there shouldn't be a call to action that's related to doing business with you. So, for example, as we were recording this, it's September, the weather is starting to shift gears. I might do a poll that says, I'm kind of sad, summer's ending. Actually, I did this not too long ago. I asked the question, when is it fall? Like here in Michigan, our schools went back to school the last week of August before Labor Day. That to me felt like fall. Like people are out of the house, the buses are on the roads again. But the actual holiday for fall, or the official calendar date for fall isn't until I think September 22nd. So when does fall start? And I did a poll and it has nothing to do with LinkedIn coaching, nothing to do with that. So what is that? That's like an entertaining, engaging type of a post. But you know what that is, Natalie, is I think about when I worked in corporate, I would go into the coffee room in the morning and put my lunch in the fridge and grab my cup of coffee. And then my coworkers, we'd be talking about the Super Bowl game that was on last night, or our husbands are doing fantasy football and how annoying is that? Or we got a new puppy and is it trained? So we were making small talk about things that were happening as a part of our lives. That's the type of thing I like to do as posts on LinkedIn as well, just to bring people into the conversation. And part of what happens, first of all, it's really easy to reply to when does fall begin? Like everybody thinks they know the answer to it. It's school, it's the season, whatever it is. So it's easy to respond to. And then a portion of the people seeing that, they're going to see my name. They're going to see my headshot photo. They're going to see a portion of my headline that says your LinkedIn coach, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to go, oh, that looks intriguing. And they click to come back to your profile. And remember how we talked about your profile as the foundation? So now they're open and receptive. I'm not pushing a sales message on them. Now they're kind of consuming my profile. And there is a clear path to learning more about me and doing business with me. Does that make sense?
100%. It's coffee talk. I love that visual of you're at the water cooler and you're having that casual conversation. Well, that's what you can infuse in between the thought leadership and, all the other things. So it humanizes what you're saying in a way that people are going to relate to you. I could talk to you for the rest of the day. I'm never letting my Michigander sister leave because we're two Michiganders, although I don't live in Michigan anymore. I love that you do. So if people want to find you and the amazing courses and all the things that you're doing, where is the best place for them to go?
I mean, you're expecting me to say LinkedIn. So my last name is Meller, Meller. Every once in a while, I get people looking up Miller or Mueller instead. All kidding aside, yeah, LinkedIn is my preferred network. You can also go to my website, mellermarketing.com.
I am going to have that in the show notes. So you can either search while you're listening or you can go to the show notes, scroll down. Brenda, I loved this conversation. Thank you for being on the show today.
Oh my gosh, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for bringing me on.
Thank you for spending your time with us today. I learned so much from Brenda Meller, and I know you did too. Be sure to check out the show notes where you can get all the important details and find out how you can connect with her on LinkedIn and in her private community. It is amazing. Listen, if you want to get access to her and other amazing speakers, I met her in Innovation Women with Bobby Carlton on Speaker Friends Friday. That is one place that if you're a speaker, you do not want to miss. So be sure to check that out as well in the show notes. If you found this episode helpful, I would be so honored if you would share it with a friend or colleague. Rate and review the show. It's how others find us. We have a big special event coming up in only a few days from the time that this show releases. It is on November 7th at 12 Central. We are going to be talking about how secure is your AI. All the information on registration is also in the show notes. I appreciate you, and I want you to know that you matter. I know how important your time is, and I'm glad you spent it with us today. Keep shining your light bright. The world needs you.